Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the Sana's Dialogue. I, Ruchika Sharma, Research Associate and Program Coordinator at the Sana's Foundation, will be hosting this discussion. Today, the topic for this discussion is Armenia in contemporary geopolitics, where we will be focusing on trade, strategic connectivity, and strategic partnerships. We are joined by a distinguished expert from Armenia, Mr. Johnny Melikyan. Mr. Johnny Melikyan um, is a Yerevan
Hello.
based political analyst and foreign policy specialist. He's also the head of department at the Public Relations and Information Center, the Office of the Prime Minister of Armenia. He's also the senior fellow at the Orbeli Center. He focuses extensively on regional developments, foreign policy, insecurity, and conflict resolution in the South Caucasus. A very warm welcome to you, Mr. Johnny Melikyan, sir, to this dialogue.
Hello. Thank
As
you for invitation.
You're welcome. So, as we begin with this interview, just a few days ago, Armenia parliamentary election results were announced, with Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan winning the elections. Following this, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian issued a congratulatory message and explicitly called for strengthening Iran-Armenia relations, describing the election results as a sign of commitment to peace and security. We also see that there are rising tensions in West Asia due to Iran and US war, and it shows no sign of improvement. So, given the geopolitical churnings in West Asia, what do you think? How resilient are the relations between Iran and Armenia? And what are the vulnerabilities and strengths involved in this relation? Thank you.
Thank you once again for invitation and opportunity to talk with your audience. So let's start from the recent developments. So as it was expected, parliamentary elections ended, and especially, yes, when you have a very turbulent period in international relations, many complications in neighboring regions, it is already good that these kind of democratic procedures are ending without any specific problems. What we have at this stage, in a couple of days, Central Election Commission will publish the official figures of the results of the election. So, but at this stage, we know that ruling party, Civic Contract, is remaining as a ruling party in the next parliament. So, and already now we have one procedures of real counting, and they can bring to one situation probably maybe political force will enter the parliament, but nevertheless minimum 61 seats in the new parliament will be taken by the ruling party, which will be able to propose their prime ministerial candidate, who probably will be Nikol Pashinyan, and they can already form government and accept it with a governmental program for upcoming 5 years. So with this, we can move to the foreign policy. So recent years after the bloody conflict, Second Karabakh War, ethnic cleansing in Nagorno-Karabakh, etc., etc. So last couple of years, we see that with diplomatic negotiations between Armenia-Azerbaijan, Armenia-Turkey, and some other activities, I mean, Armenian foreign policy activities, bringing Armenia-Georgian relations to strategic level, and our cooperation with Iran, we probably now see that this region, which was famous for decades with conflicts, is now more or less calm. So we have more or less no war, no peace situation, but it is allowing us to cooperate, to trade even between Armenia and Azerbaijan. So, and all actors in this region see that the conflicts are external conflicts, I mean, outside of our region, can influence easier easily can influence dynamic in our region, complicate or limit our opportunities. So coming back to your question, so of course, the Iranian crisis, all what's happening until now regarding to Iran are negative developments. Armenia was and still is and will be, I think, the country which is was gaining from the good neighboring relations with Iran. So we have very good deep relations with Tehran, with Iranian people. So Armenia has a small but very active diaspora there, community with even representation in Majlis. So we hope that all what's happening in the Middle East, in our neighboring region, between countries which are important for us. So from one side, it is Iran, from other Persian Gulf countries, which are also essential for Armenian foreign policy, economic cooperation. From other angle, there is United States. So recently we signed and enlarged our strategic cooperation with United States. So probably naturally we are the country which is not interested in this conflict, its continuation. So we are hoping that this conflict will end as soon as possible, and we can come back to the normal trade cooperation with neighbors and other countries, as I mentioned before.
Thank you so much for your insights. It's correctly said that peace and stability matters to the prosperity of the region. Another project which has come into the limelight is the Trump for international peace and prosperity that was promoted as a potential game changer for regional connectivity and stability. And its future that we know is increasingly tied to the Iran-US war. Reports are there that huge US investments and security involved in the region. On the other hand, Iran reportedly views this project as a means to reduce its influence by creating an alternative transit route. So, given these geopolitical churnings and upheaval, what do you think about this project? Is it going to reap the meaningful progress, or it's going to become largely stalled?
I want to start from the security angle of this. So trip agreement, which was probably made last year in August in Washington between United States and America and Armenia. So, and it was adopted also one statement by the leaders of Azerbaijan, Armenia, and United States. So this project, infrastructure project, first of all, is and was to not allow Azerbaijan to use this issue to attack us as it was in 2022 and etc. So as far as after Second Karabakh War, Baku was raising issue of direct link, communication link between Nakhichevan and Azerbaijan. So Nakhichevan, it's a territory of current Azerbaijan, which is exclave, and they wanted to have alternative road, not alternative to Iranian road. So that's why Armenia has taken an obligation to allow Azerbaijan to use Armenian territory to link Nakhichevan. But during that years, we saw that Baku was pushing the idea that it should be corridor. It was a Armenian territorial integrity, sovereignty over that road was under the question mark by Baku. And by the end of the day, we saw that during the Washington Declaration and these agreements, it was proposed the model which is allowing Armenia to keep its sovereignty and territorial integrity over its territory. From other sides, it will allow Azerbaijan in the future to use some infrastructures which will be created under this agreement. It can be railroad, roads, and some other infrastructures, so pipeline, power grids, etc., etc. So. As I said, it was probably security issue, not to allow them to attack us, to have something which will be obligatory and they to recognize. So now we have this agreement with United States and U.S. International Development Finance Corporation has already accumulated some funds for establishment of this company. So it will be Armenian-US common enterprise, so company which will be created in Armenia, and United States will invest money in creation of these infrastructures, and each side will have its own share from the future benefits from this road. From other side, of course, as far as there is Ukrainian war with this Iranian crisis, the issue of communication and transport corridors is very now important for Central Asian countries. These countries faced a very critical period of time because with Ukrainian crisis, with conflict between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and with this Iranian crisis, they probably are in a blockade, yes, infrastructure blockade, and they are also searching some new alternative parallel trade roads. And here, Middle Corridor is becoming more attractive, interesting, and with the idea of crossroads of peace. And I want to remind that this idea was developed and was presented to the public by the end of 23 by the Prime Minister of Armenia. So the main idea is that Yerevan is going to renovate, rebuild some structures on the borders with our neighbors on the main territory of Armenia, to create new infrastructures which will allow us to be more or less some crossroads between our neighbors. And allowing them to use roads, railroads to link with each other. So that's why, parallel to Georgia, which is also investing billions of dollars per year in infrastructure, each of us in our region are trying to be more attractive from the angle of transportation and trade. And here, TRIP project is coming natural continuation of this idea of crossroads of peace. So it can be part of it, which will be allowing not only Azerbaijan to link with Nakhichevan, but also to link with Turkey via Armenia and Nakhichevan. And in the future, probably if everything will work, we can have two parallel roads of the middle corridor in our region. So one can go from Central Asia via Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan, Georgia to Kiev. So it's via Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railroad. Another can go via Azerbaijan, Armenia, Nakhichevan / Azerbaijan, and then Turkey. Or maybe in the future, if we'll have northern road, which will allow to link cars with Azerbaijan via northern part of Armenian territory. So we will have different infrastructures which can probably allow external partners, companies, to transport more goods via this region, via railroad systems, road systems of our countries. So that's why this was the main idea. From security, we are coming to these trade opportunities. But here we see that a couple of months we have this ongoing conflict regarding to Iran, and from their angle for Iranian, so we are in the touch, active discussions, exchanges with Iranian different think tanks. So government, independent. So the main idea which we hear from them is that if before they were more critical on trip, but it was acceptable for them to see such developments in the region with this crisis and lack of trust between Washington and Tehran. They will be more critical on any US investment on the border with them. So that's why this issue is also giving us or pushing us to try to assist or to push sides to make statements that as soon as possible, if this conflict will end, we will have new stage in the regional developments, which will allow to have more transport roads, corridors via South Caucasus, and which will allow all of countries to benefit from this. So that's why we'll see. We hope that this conflict will end, and then we can practically start to implement these agreements with these investments to be on the Armenian soil, which will allow strengthen our infrastructure abilities.
Thank you so much for your valuable insights. It's true that the foundation of this project lies in the clear resolution of this war. The peace plays a pivotal role. However, what if the war continues? If this war continues, then what are the immediate risks for Armenia, and can it also strain Armenia's relations with Iran? Your thoughts on it?
So our relations with Iran are very deep. For centuries, both nations were in cooperation, in contacts. So even historically, we have been part of Persian Empire. So the relations are deep, and I don't think that any foreign policy agendas which we have now and describing Armenian current foreign policy, I would say that we have two new elements here. Yes, one is regionalization foreign policy, and part of it is this Armenia-Azerbaijan parallel and Armenia-Turkey parallel tracks. So we don't have any diplomatic relations with these neighbors. Even still, we are in the blockade by both of them. But from other side, recently we got opportunity to use Georgian infrastructure, to use Baku-Tbilisi cars to trade between Armenia and Turkey, and trade between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and even between Armenia and Kazakhstan and Eurasian Union, using Georgian and Azerbaijani railroad systems. From other side, another part of this regionalization policy is more deeper, more active relations with two other neighbors with whom we have very active dialogue. So with Georgia already signed strategic cooperation relations, and with Iran probably they are in the level of strategic cooperation. But yeah, before this conflict, we were discussing, or as I know, between two countries, it was in the agenda to sign some document fixing these relations as strategic ones. So this policy, I'm sure, will continue. And it's not depending how this conflict will end. Probably Yerevan will work with Tehran actively. And we are trying, so Armenia is trying for decades, when we are cooperating with one country, not allow other countries which can be not in a good relations with our partners to influence the relations we have with other ones. So it was with Georgia, it is with Iran, and etc., etc. So that's why our Armenia-US track is Armenia-US track, and it should not influence Armenia-Iran relations. And etc. Yes, so that's why we are trying to divide. We are trying to build our relations from the angle of Armenian national interests and trying to understand what commonalities we have with the countries with whom we are developing our relations. It's India, it is China or Russia. So the same with each of these actors who are interested in this region and becoming actors. So India is a newcomer to this region. China came a couple of years before. So Iran and Turkey are for the centuries here. So Russia also last 2 centuries. So and West is also probably newcomer, but yes, they are here since the beginning of 20th century and reestablished their influence already after the independence period in 1990s. So that's why I think it's our fate. So geography is our fate, and we can't choose neighbors. We can choose partners without understanding our geography and our national interests. And they are pushing us to have very deep, very active relations with all of partners who are positively approached to us.
Yeah, building on this discussion only. So I would like to ask that how important will stronger ties with the EU become for Armenia?
European integration is a part of Armenian foreign policy for more than 2 decades, I think. Of course, last years we have new opportunities with SEPA agreement, which we signed before this government, but which probably started to be implemented already with this government or this ruling party. So we now, by the end of the last year, signed new cooperation agenda, which is brought to enlarge and deep our relations with European Union. So what I see here, so that European integration process will continue. So at this stage, Yerevan will be trying to balance our relations with EU, with our presence in Eurasian Economic Union. So both of them are customs unions. So you can't be parallel in two of them. So that's why you can hear from Yerevan, so that until we are not seeing any perspectives on EU direction, so we'll remain in Eurasian Union. But recent months we see that, or weeks, that Russia is also now pushing the idea that Yerevan should choose between these two organizations. But the reality is the following, that we are active members of Eurasian Economic Union. We are country which was from the beginning of this organization, and Yerevan's mood is to continue active work and integration within this union. But Yerevan will not limit itself, and where it is possible, will continue to deepen its relations with the European Union via different programs, agendas, and now we are probably one of, and I think now maybe the only country with whom European Union is working on lifting visa regime. So visa dialogue is going on. So it requires some legislation improvements, some standards, border security issues, etc., migration issues. So Yerevan is actively working on this direction, and we'll see in the future. So Yerevan will continue its balancing act. Yerevan is trying to use the approach of balancing and balanced foreign policy as much as we can. We know, of course, as academia representative, I can say that of course we know that we are a small country, and small states have their own limitation. But coming from this angle that we are small states, we are more flexible to balance between more bigger actors, not allowing them to get us all. So yes, so that's why we have to deal with everybody which is actor in this region, and bringing to balance our relations with other actors, not to allow countries which are more negative against us. And still in this case, I would say that with Azerbaijan, with Turkey, we still, of course, we have this process of rapprochement with Turkey, peace process with Azerbaijan, but still problems are on the ground. Delimitation, demarcation procedures should be continued, etc. And that's why the brilliant example of balancing and balanced foreign policy was shown during the military parade, small military parade a couple of weeks ago, where ordinary Armenian people and people from outside had opportunity to see Armenian military and technique, so Armenian weapons and systems with the systems of other 6 countries, including China, India, Iran, some European countries. So even in these procurement issues, Yerevan is trying to work with all available countries with their readiness. And here I think probably as far as it's Osana's dialogue, I would mention Armenia and India military technique cooperation, which, as we know from the open sources, is more than $1 billion for upcoming years. So, and people also saw during the parade Pinakas and other systems. So it is showing that from one side we are working to have a peace and cooperation, stability in the region. From other side, trying also to do homework, yes, reforms, democratization, resilience, and bringing status quo, military political status quo, more preferable for us, not to allow some countries to use opportunity and to attack us. Because when you have status quo, it is also pressuring enemy or our countries not to do what they want to do against you. So that's why I think in this turbulent period, we see that some signs of dialogue and cooperation in this region are already on the table. But probably we should continue to work on this direction. And with after the forming of the new renewed government, I think the same foreign policy will continue for upcoming years. And even, if theoretically we will try to imagine that something is changing in Armenia, leadership is changing in Armenia, I would say this way, that it's not approach of one single person or political party. So geopolitics, national interests are pushing to have such foreign policies. So each party or leader can do it its own way, but the more common approach is not to allow external actors to use these regions or countries of this region against each other and to create this instability and to, as Romans were saying, divide et impera, yes, to divide us and to try to control us. Yes, so that's why I think here also we have some ground work to do with different neighbors, so including Azerbaijan, which is not easy partner on doing this, but we have to, and we'll see how things will go on.
Thank you so much for highlighting these very important points, and it also reflects the pragmatism involved in the Armenia's foreign policy. So my next question is that, looking ahead, what kind of, because you're also an expert on the South Caucasus, what kind of South Caucasus do you imagine? Is it a more fragmented one or a more integrated or a corporate one?
Oh, as I said, three countries of this region are trying to have this balancing foreign policy. But still, as far as approaches are very different, still this region is fragmented. Of course, you can gather all these three countries with our neighbors in trade corridors, in specific projects. But still, now Azerbaijan is saying that they are part of Central Asia. So Yerevan and Tbilisi, so Armenia and Georgia. So Georgia, first of all, yes, they are pretending to be part of EU, and Yerevan is saying that we also see the future in European integration. But from other side, Yerevan is keeping its relations with post-Soviet Russia-led international organizations. So here we behave from one side the same way, but with a different angles and different approaches. So that's why until we have conflicts in this region, until we have something which we can use against each other, I don't see that this region can be one common. Of course, attempts should be, so three of us, representatives of three countries should sit and discuss issues which are not so politicized, which are preferable for all of us. So starting from meteorological things, nature, climate, some other things which are common issues, common problems, which don't see any borders between countries. Yes, so that's why I think there are some attempts now. We had a meeting between deputy foreign ministers who met and tried to discuss non-political issues, which are common to three of us. Maybe so we saw that so recent Georgian elections, now Armenian elections, so no elections in Azerbaijan. So now we can move to one stage where probably after this post-election things, we'll have some opportunities, I mean, on the level of countries to sit and discuss common agendas. So, and here it can be useful to work with external other actors. So it will be, I don't know, new so East-West corridor, North-South corridor. So hopefully after the crisis in the Middle East, IMEC will come back to the stage, so where we also were trying to be part of it. So that's why, of course, the work should be done. Let's put it this way. But limitations are still very high. So with this low-level relations between Armenia and Azerbaijan, etc. So we have still we can't use all opportunities of this region as far as we are so divided, and still conflict again situation is on the ground, and of course between societies. So we have time should pass because so you probably know it well with your neighbors. So how difficult it is when a couple of years ago it was war, people were dying, families, etc., etc. So that's why, of course, from human perspective, it's very hard. We have to wait or time should pass. But from the government angle, from economic angle, probably something should be done. And I think in upcoming years we will have situation when some projects, some initiatives will be on the ground, and already it will be issue of political will from the capitals of each country to go for this cooperation and to achieve some results.
Yeah, so as we talked on the cooperation and forging ties with the countries as a part of the Armenia's foreign policy, balanced foreign policy. So my next question is on the Armenia-India relations. That Armenia has been actively strengthening economic and defense ties with India. Where does Armenia see India today, and what are your thoughts on the potential and trajectory of this relationship?
So yeah, our relations are very active, and here also I think it's we have potential to use. Limitations are the lack of communications. So we are too far from each other in this case, and with new developments, when we can use already Azerbaijani railroad system, so and hopefully after Iranian conflict will end, we can use more active Iranian ports, etc. So to in trade between our countries. So probably having this in mind, we can develop our relations in specific directions. So it can be high tech. So it's pharmacy. So because your market is very rich and your market is very high level in this case. So it will be interesting, I think, for us. And your embassy is actively working, organizing different events, trying to put businessmen, so business from both countries to sit and discuss how they can cooperate. So our embassy in New Delhi is trying to also be helpful in this case. So governments are trying to push business. So, and it's already business to discuss how can they do, because it's private. They should see some benefits from this cooperation. And even we don't have direct flights, I hope that we will have in the future direct flights between our capitals, because working migration from India to Armenia is also very active, and we see in our daily life many Indians in Armenia. So people-to-people contacts are also essential. And I already mentioned military tech cooperation, so political dialogue is very high. So if I was asked what to expect, I would say this way. So I want to see high-level visits from India to Armenia, and during that visit to see the signing procedure of signing of the document on establishment of strategic cooperation, so which will be filled with specific agendas and projects with which we can deepen our relations. So we'll see. So infrastructural problems of Armenia, let's put it this way, and as far as we are too far from each other, not having direct flights is limiting our economic cooperation. But here also, if these issues are resolving and Hormuz is opening, Iranian ports will come back in the future to the 100% readiness to work with business, etc. So it will allow us also to think more about this cooperation on the ground. So in international organizations, we are working with each other. So I think these relations are on the very good level, but still we have place to go deeper and to give these relations more dynamic in the future.
Thank you so much for highlighting again the very significant points and your recommendations and suggestions on fostering the deeper relations between India and Armenia. The most important thing that you picked was the connectivity and the people-to-people ties. So thank you for your time. We really appreciate your expertise and really hope to host you in our future discussions. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights on this critical issue.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for invitation. We'll keep in touch.
Sure. Thank you so much. Sure. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you.